Hello to a very wet, it would seem. If you're wondering what the noise in the background, that's Matt's foot spa. That's what it sounds like.
Sounds like a monsoon, I think, on my ship tonight.
Matt's caught in a bit of a shower this evening. It sounds proper loud, and we were just listening to it, and it literally sounds like he's got a foot spa in there or something, because you can hear it coming off the roof and stuff like that. So yes. Anyway, good evening. We are a little bit late today. Tell them why, Matt.
Because I messed up.
Throw him under the bus.
Carry on. Oh my god, I can't hear you. I've got to turn the sound up. I really can't hear you. It's that loud. Hold on. That's better. Go on.
There we
Sorry.
go. But no, unfortunately, Matt made a bit of a poo-poo with one of the deliveries, so we weren't sure where it was going, if it was going to go to his house where all the deliveries have been going recently, or if it was going to the unit. So to cover both bases, we had people at the unit and at the house, so Matt was at the house waiting.
Yes, so. I nipped home. Actually, it weren't too bad time-wise, to be honest, but at least I had the slot it was being delivered in. Some of them you don't get the slot, so you just got to wait around all day. I got my time slot, so I went back. Leslie obviously stayed at work and did a bit and picked it up and took it back to work. But yeah, never even thought about changing the address. Everybody else I've done it with just that one.
Yes.
But it's turned up, it's here, it's all sorted, so.
And it's good, because there's a lot of stuff we've been waiting on. Obviously for the store and the various things like that. So as always, let me do my little welcome thing on the chat. There we go. Hopefully that'll send. Yes. There we go. So there we go. We are all in. So usual thing, guys. Obviously, we're all things PM models tonight. So if you got anything out of sync on YouTube, hey, what are we? Sounds like a hot tub. Yeah, that's what I said. He's in a hot tub.
Send me a dinghy, please.
I was going to say, can we send him some type of life preserver or something else like that?
There you go.
Yes. It is proper raining, look.
That's biblical.
He's going to have to build an ark.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's beautiful here. Here we are, what, 265 miles away, and it's a gorgeous blue sky evening and the sun shining. So you can see, that's the difference.
That's the UK for you.
Yeah, it's the UK. Mind you, you could be 10 minutes down the road and it could be like that at the moment. It seems to be a little bit on and off. To say the least. Anyway, this is the kit show. Usual thing, all things kits, modelling related and stuff like that. So if you've got any normal type questions, if we've got time to squeeze them in at the end of the show, we will do. But as you know, we've been getting lots and lots of stock in over the last week. And lots of things have been arriving. So if we have a look in our new arrivals section, we have... Do you want to talk us through what we've got there, Matt?
Well, we've got the new ICM Cessna 02.
Yes.
Sky, as you can see, so that's a brand new tool. That's the first one for age. I think the last one was a tester's kit from
that was
an old kit. So hopefully this one I've held one back for you for review.
Lovely.
So when I see I give you that and you can review it next week or whenever. So hopefully that's going to be a nice kit.
Yes.
Looks smart anyway. Not going to be very big, but
no, I was going to say it's going to be very small, but hopefully being ICM it would be perfectly formed and not totally over-engineered. So it should, if it's like the Gladiator, it'd be it. I'm surprised they didn't go with it in 32nd. Because
I think it's got one in. The Rodin's got one in 30.
I suppose, but it's a small aircraft, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that looks pretty smart. So we've got them in. We've also next to it, I've got the Ashima Range Rover Classique.
A Classique one. This is the 5-door version.
Yeah, the Vogue.
The Vogue. Very nice.
So I don't think this is a new toolkit, as in, you know, it's not brand new. It's a few year old, but it's one of them that's been hard to get hold of, I think.
Yes.
So it's obviously been re-released, and being a Shima, I thought it'd been really nice. So if you want to review one of them, I'm sure we can spare one of those as well.
Lovely. Cool.
And then next to it, obviously what's now sold out, which is sold out really fast. I'm going to order some more tomorrow. Is the Armour Hobbies Wildcat, the Expert one, which is brand new tooled. And it's supposed to be very nice from reviews and feedback I've read.
Yeah.
So again, if I get another one in, I'll get one to you for have a look at.
Very nice. I must admit, after looking at that Hurricane and you see the quality of it, and say it looks like CAD. That's how I describe it. It looks fantastic. So if that one's going to follow along suit, I think they're fast becoming the place to go for your 72nd scale kits, isn't it? Because they are just beautifully done, very, very nice. And if you get the expert one, that comes normally with a little bit of photo etch, isn't it, and a mask set.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Again, so I've not seen it, I've not looked at it, but yeah, it looks a nice kit. And then below that is the Vellum Valletta.
Very nice.
Both marks of the Valletta. So again, something a bit different, bit of transport command and all that. And I do actually quite like the T3 version, to be honest, with the little domes on the top.
Yeah.
It's quite cool with that scheme and the day glow.
It is very nice. And the other one with a nice Gibraltar backdrop.
Yes, absolutely. So again, I've got one of them held back for review as well, so you're going to have a few reviews to take back with you on Saturday when you come up.
Very nice. Yes, I'll be up nice and early for that.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait for that drive. And also, I know we're out of stock of B26s. We've got some more coming in very soon. So, you know, they've gone down really well, to be honest. I think it's one of them to, if you grab one, because obviously once that's discontinued, you are going to get that again. So even if you're a collector or a builder, just because it's Asagawa kit, it's worth getting hold of, I think, because it is a fantastic, well, it's definitely the best in scale for a Marauder.
Yeah.
And obviously we know the availability of Asagawa is not great.
No.
So, you know, grab one in the fancy boxing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And again, the great thing is it's got some beautiful markings in that kit and all the usual things they throw at it. But as we've always said, you always get that window of what we call opportunity with the kit. So normally Hasegawa will not supply and they will remove it from their listing for usually a year to 6 months in front. And after it goes to Edard. So as soon as Edard have completed their run of it, there will be a gap. So if you are after one, grab it. But again, if you're going to do it, like I've always said, it's really nice to have the option markings and the bits and pieces that come with it in one kit. Yeah, you're paying a little bit more, but it's worth it at the end of the day because they do some beautiful markings, let alone the kit. It's a gorgeous kit.
I'm just thinking it's probably not far off. To be honest, that price is Asagawa's just standard these days. So at least you get the extras like a mass set and, like I say, I think you get some resin. You don't get a lot in that. You get resin wheels, a photo etch set, and a mass set. But it's a nice package, isn't it? Like I say, just deco schemes alone and the fancy box art. So
it is really, really nice.
Yeah, it's. I said we'll get some more of those in stock.
Indeedy. Okay, so we got those in. Also, we have a new section there with Fujimi.
Yes, we have some Fujimi 911s in.
911s.
And to be honest with you, we have got now somewhere to get Fujimi from. I'm not saying it's all the catalogue, but we can get a few different items in. So I thought, well, we'll start with the 911s because they're a really nice kit that they did as well and been quite hard to get over here for a few years. So again, there's some like fancy Le Mans ones.
So you've got the flared arches and whale fins at the back versions.
Yeah.
Or you've got your more sort of your 80s classics.
Yeah, they're 70s, aren't they? Look,
70s ones, yeah, as well.
The early ones. And then the flat nose one.
Yeah.
Which the guy who's in the unit next door has got one, hasn't he? So he's got a real.
Very nice.
So yeah, anyway, so the nice if you're into your Porsches.
Okay, so we got those. The other thing as well we've got in now is our own section for the Nunu, which
Nunu. Right, Nunu.
You could explain this.
I'll try. I'll do my best. It started off, as you see, like we've got the S4 Delta in and the Volvo. Now they started off as B-Max kits.
Yeah.
But now B-Max, as far as I know, and Nunu are now a company on their own. So the versions that you got from B-Max are now discontinued because also they do a BMW M. Is it an M3? I think they did, wasn't it? I think they've all been discontinued and they're going out on their own. So, like I said, the Lancia and the Volvo are the first of the reboxing, I would have said, with different liveries on them. And then the BMWs, as you can see, you've reviewed one of the BMWs. They've started to bring them out again as well. So the M6s. Yeah. And I'll tell you what is a nice catch, that Porsche 935. That's a fab kit, to be honest. That's a really nice one.
So we have got reviews of these two up on the site because, to be honest, I've got them sat in front of me still because they're going back up to the unit on the weekend. So there is
Yeah.
reviews if you want to see those about those. They are beautiful, very, very nice kits indeed.
Yeah.
So yes, very good stuff on that. Also, you've had restocks of loads. So AK
Well, yeah, oils really. 502.
oils.
502 oils.
Yes. Where's me 502s? Where are they? They're at the top here. I'm going mad. Where are they? Oh, there they are.
Yeah,
We've got oils.
Yeah. So yeah,
yes.
we've had
Still
like,
waiting on some of the sets.
yeah, I've got another order going in, but obviously like Smoke's back in, Starship
Filth.
you name it, yeah, all the oils are up to date. So
That's the one everybody's always after, is Starship Filth and Smoke. I wonder why, because I tend to use, they're my two go-to colours. Absolutely fantastic. That's beautiful because it's got a green hue to it, and Starship Filth is almost identical to my Dark Dirt Wash. It's uncanny how close they are with both of those. But as I say, we've got sets sorted out and things like that.
And the main sets are in, the aircraft ones are like I say, the vehicle and flesh, and the other sets are coming in anyway. So like I say, there's another order to follow this one.
Yeah, definitely.
To keep it up. So.
But if you are thinking of sets, that's the set that I got, which I've obviously expanded on it a little bit now, but pretty much that does everything, because you've got your blues and you've got your yellows and your oranges in there and your greens, so you can lighten and weather pretty much any colour out there, full stop. So quite a handy one, and that one does have the smoke in it as well.
Yeah, it does.
So,
and also we've had the AK real colour sets in, not the aircraft ones, the armour ones, but a restock of those. And yeah, I mean, there's now stuff coming in. There's also a big, well, fingers crossed, big Tamiya order for paint tomorrow coming in. So hopefully we'll have it all back in stock. I can't guarantee it because I don't know until it turns up. Because I've had a load of it on back order. So I was going through the rack yesterday and like, we need this, yeah, you've got blah, blah, on back order. So some, like we've said last week, some poor soul's got to sit there and put the stickers on them all.
Stickers on the wall.
But I think the only thing we won't get is X28.
Right.
Because I think obviously alcohol's being used for other things at the minute, so that's why X28 and the Accurus, thinners, we just can't get it at the minute. It's, you know, if it turns up, then bonus, but I'm not expecting it. Hopefully the glues and stuff will be back in as well, quick set, and just normal extra thin. So, but yeah, we're getting there. Slowly but slowly. Things are coming through.
It is slowly getting there. Just a couple of ones in here. Evening Phil and Matt. Question: is the Dragon 1/35 scale Sherman Firefly 5C a good kit?
Yes, actually, as I built two of them.
I was going to say that's why I picked one up, because I know you've built it.
Yeah, no, it is actually. It's a nice kit. Yeah. To be honest, the Ryefield one's probably the one to go for if you want a Sherman, but still stands up, definitely. Yeah, it's a nice kit.
And yes, there is a live show tomorrow as normal at 7:30. This isn't replacing, it's just we're doing this one slightly later. Instead of in the afternoon, we're doing it now. Yes. So yes. Golden just saying there, will there be a live stream from the PM models unit? Well, funnily enough, I've got a cam link going up to Matt on Saturday and the various bits and pieces, so we can be able to do, and Matt's got a new laptop which is more than 1 horsepower. So hopefully he's now going to join the 21st century, and he's not going to be 8-bit Matt anymore and all the rest of it. So obviously we've got a proper camera instead of using a webcam, and then obviously proper sound as well, which will help with that one. And then obviously using the cam link system, you're not tied to webcams and stuff, and you can go for a walk with it and all the rest of it. It's quite handy for that. I do intend to vlog what I'm doing on Saturday going up there. Obviously it's a 4.5 hour drive, so I'll bore you together with my greatest hits album in the car. Like last time, and then but I'm going to do recorded blogging. Probably won't do it live because obviously we've got a social distance and all the stuff up there, and to be honest we've got a lot to cover whilst we're up there, and I'm going to bounce it in a day, so it is a 9-hour round trip. So I will record it though, and then what I'll do is I'll edit it and it'll go up on Monday. So that's the plan for that one.
Yes.
So yes, cool. Right, what else do we want to talk about tonight then?
Well, yeah. Whatever really. You just threw me there completely. Yeah, what you like to about?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you can tell we've really rehearsed this.
Yes, we haven't rehearsed this one whatsoever.
Normally, actually, we do a bit of run through, don't we, of what we're going to do.
Well, we normally we've got an idea what's going on,
Yeah,
but
because
tonight we are totally winging it.
We are winging it. We are totally winging it.
Well, look, we've got a couple of questions down in here, which are naughty ones because this is a PM show, but hey, what the hell. David saying, hi Bo, quick question about masking AK Extreme Metals with pre-cut masks. Apparently the D in the tail fin is bare metal finish. I've got the Montex mask sets for the D. Very nice. Question is, you seem to have no issues masking over AK Extremes, and the AK promotional video has them nearly indestructible. I wouldn't say they're indestructible, but you can mask on them. I have always get a little lift even after seriously detacking normal Tamiya masking tape. Any tips on the best on this to a best avoid, or should I just use silver decals instead? Okay, the thing is, this is one of those things everyone says to me because it's very difficult when you don't have the problem yourself. And obviously we've just done this little lady and we masked up obviously all round here, and if you've seen the next part of this you would have seen it, that we've gone round and we've masked it. I've never had a problem masking over AK Extreme Metals, but I know a lot of people do. The only thing I can ever think of, and the reason people have trouble with it, is that you have to imagine it is an enamel. Okay, and enamels take a while to dry, and the thing is, if you put it on really thick, it's gonna double, triple, quadruple, tenfold, hundredfold, and all the rest of it, the amount of drying time. If this stuff is not totally dry, you will pull it off. You will end up with silver tape. You will end up with all the usual problems in through it. It's also still quite fragile. I wouldn't say it's indestructible. I've got to do touch-ups on this. If you see the video, you'll see all about it. Where I've worn through it, through the amount of handling. It's a big lump. You're always picking it up. You're always handling it, normally in the same place. So I have worn through it. I'm not worried about it because I'll just mask it and respray the panel and away we go. We'll be good to go. But my biggest piece of advice for working over this stuff is, make sure your base coat is completely dry. So if you're using like Tamiya X1 for instance, which is technically their acrylic, but as we know it's more alcohol based gloss, it's a gloss. Make sure that is totally dry before you overcoat it. Otherwise, when you put on your Extreme Metal onto it, if it's slightly soft, it's not going to adhere particularly brilliantly, and obviously you're going to rub into the paint because it's soft. You're pushing the metal coat into it as well, which means you're going to rub it off. Also, if you're putting on coat after coat after coat of Extreme Metals, that's an enamel, an enamel, an enamel, and an enamel, and if you put on 4 or 5 layers of it, that's going to take quite a long time to dry as well. So from that point of view, it's all about drying times. Once this stuff is totally dry, it is pretty much indestructible. But I deliberately showed in the video build of that one of me masking off these areas, rubbing it on. Admittedly, I am detacking it and then showing the tape to see that there's not a hint of any silver on the tape. Where even if you're using other people's, you can still see silver. This stuff is very, very good. But I would always recommend the primer coat, totally dry. Obviously your gloss coat, if you're using black gloss on there, make sure that's totally dry. Give it days to go off, weeks if you can, because that one was sat there for a week before it got overcoated. And then come in with your Extreme Metal, a nice light coat, and don't put it on too heavy, because if you're going over and over and over, you are just sandwiching coats between, and those coats are going to get trapped because the bottom one won't be able to dry out properly. And as we all know, enamels can take quite a long time to dry out, but once it is dry, it is pretty indestructible. So I would say just thin coat, make sure it's totally dry, and then come in and do it. As for your D, if you're worried about using the mask, which I don't know whose is it, Montex. Montex can be a little bit bitey. I'm not a mass fan of theirs, if I'm honest. But what I would say is transfer that onto Tamiya tape. So use it as the outline to trace it, and then to put it onto Tamiya tape, detack Tamiya tape if you're worried about it, and put it on and do it that way. Yeah. Just saying.
No, it is. It's definitely drying times with the AK Extreme Metals, 100%. You've got to just let it cure. It just bites you if you don't. Definitely. And it does take a bit longer. 48 hours normally should be enough in, average temperatures for it to be rock hard. But the longer you can leave it, like you did with yours, is a lot better, really. Like I say, if you can paint it and put it to one side for a week, you should be all right.
It's all right. It'll stop now.
Somebody's forgot.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And like you say, primer coats, and if you're giving it a black coat underneath or whatever, you just got to give it enough time to dry, because it's just prone for it, really, isn't it? For it not gassing off properly, as we say, and drying. So,
It is. It's one of those things where obviously this question comes up a lot with it, and we've got members on the site who hate this stuff because they have real troubles with it. But again, the only thing I always recommend is when you're spraying it as well, make sure your coats are thin, because if it's thick, if it was a grey paint you were putting on there, you would probably appreciate it takes a lot longer to go off. And if you go back through history, and we are talking now to around about the noughties, I used to use a lot of extra paints, enamels, and to be honest with you, those used to take weeks to go off because they're an enamel. And in those days, I used to just use a standard enamel thinners because there wasn't fast drying thinners back then. So I just used enamel thinners and popping it down. And I remember I did a Harrier once and left a fingerprint in the bloody wing, and it had been drying for almost 2 weeks. But it takes that long, and it's just because of that was it. But in those days, it would have been in like the late 90s probably. It was the only option if you wanted that proper coat of the RAF grey colour. That was your only option in town. Nobody had done it at that point, and it was like, Jesus, I used to hate painting that colour because it was always the thing. And I had it in a drying cupboard for 2 weeks, picked it up, I was working on it, holding the wing, and you get that sticky effect when you take your hand off, and I look at it and there's a perfect fingerprint into it. So now I've got to sand that off, and I've got to respray it, and there'll be another couple of weeks before I can decal it then. So, and that was always just the problem with it. This is an enamel based product, and enamels are oily by their nature, so they're always going to take a little bit longer to go off. That's why it's better to keep the paint nice and thin, and if you're nice and thin, it dries really quickly. But as soon as you start getting in there, giving it extra coats and extra layers, I think that's where most people fall foul of this stuff. The trouble with it you have is that if you're using Alclad or MRP's lacquer-based metal paints, they are beautiful and they go on very, very thin and they cover very, very well. If you put too much on, they don't work as well, okay? And they get a bit sort of lumpy, for want of a better word, and it doesn't look like metal. It goes to be more like a metallic finish than being a true metal finish. The difference is extreme metals don't care if you put on a thin coat or a gallon of it. It will self-level and goes beautiful, but what it doesn't do is dry very well if you put on too much. So I always say keep it nice, keep it thin, let it dry, and you'll be fine. And you think, I've used it on the Bear when we did the TU95 Bear, the big 72nd one. I was handling it all day long and I didn't even have to repaint that. That one just worked. This one I am going to have to blow in a couple of areas. One of them is my fault because I sanded it. I had a bit of overspray and thought I'd be clever, and went straight through it. And the other one is just where I've been gripping around the body of it, doing all the painting and the touch-up work and stuff. I've just worn through it. It's a happy little accident, you know what I'm like. I will literally repolish that area, make sure it's all good, mask it to the nearest panels, and I will blow it in. If it's a slightly different shade, that's fine, because at the end of the day it'll look like it's had damage or something else like that. It's been reskinned and it'll work well. Same if you do it on a wing. If you're always handling a bit of a wing and you do that leading edge, perfect example. They're always having new leading edges and things like that through flak damage. So I really wouldn't worry about it if you have worn through it. I do what I do. I've literally not worried about it because we're going to come back last when it's basically all done. Just blow those areas in. You know, it's not going to be near a decal or anything else like that, so it can be done whenever you like. So that's it. Leave it to the last minute, mask it all off, protect it all so you don't get any silver overspray, and just blow it and you'll be good to go.
So going back to that documentary that you watched last week, was it Cold Blue? Yes. You're not tempted to weather it then? Proper weather it like they were?
Well, the thing is, they were the other version, weren't it? They were the C. Is it the F? F, yeah. Is the predecessor, wasn't it? So they had the full camo job. They were grey underneath and the olive drab on top, and they were pretty heavily weathered. Seeing those ones, weren't they?
They've seen a lot of action.
They had seen a lot of action, so yeah.
They got well used and abused. But
I think it is that thing. I would love to probably. I'm not saying I'll build another the 48 scale one because it's a big lump. But I would definitely consider perhaps having a stab at somebody else's 72nd and doing a full weathered one, because I think you could do a lot with it. As you say, you've got everything from chipping through to heavy weathering and all the rest of it, because those things were proper minging. So
yeah, I'm actually just thinking, who does a F in 72nd? Because everybody does a G. Airfix one's a G.
Well, yeah, so you got Academy. Their old one was an F.
Well, that's an old one though. The Revell one's a G, isn't it? Which into bad kit. That's not an F, is it? That's a G.
That's a G, yeah.
And he built it, so he'll know. He can shout up in chat. I'm sure that's a G. Which is really thingy because the F was a more used aircraft. I would have thought, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I think, yeah, I don't know how long it was before they switched out for that model came along. I've got my book down there. I'll check after the show.
Yeah,
I have my combat machines all about it down here, but I don't know actually when they switched from the different ones. It's got all about the switch in here, and then obviously having the different turrets and things like that. So it has got some great information all about it. So yes, the G. Hold on. So there we go. Those all came in 42. So it's got all the serial numbers for them in here as well for every single one. So got the serial numbers for the first ones. So it looks like, yeah, it came in 42, the F, because they're all serial numbers. They started by the year, so they all started in 42.
Yeah, definitely 42, 43, weren't they? I don't know when they phased out to get to a G, but...
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Total number of production. So they did, only actually did 3,405 of the Fs, but actually it did 8,680 of the Gs.
Right. Okay.
So yes. So
that's interesting.
So there we go.
So did you enjoy that documentary then?
I did actually. Yes, it's very good. I think they've used some of the footage from the Memphis Belle documentary, because I'd seen that as well on Netflix or wherever it was before. And then, but yes,
to take off.
Yeah.
I've seen that before, you know, where they're all
they're all one behind the other.
Yeah. That's precarious at best of times, isn't it? Never mind. Jeez. Because what did they have there? And they had like a really small gap, wasn't it, for one going and the other one following.
That's it. Yeah, it makes you wonder about weight turbulence. Allow a gap between them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew says, hi Phil, just want to thank Matt for getting me the Edard Condor Legion BF109. Very swift service, thank you very much. Good.
Problem.
Like to see, happy customer. Quick, get him stuffed and mounted. Okay, Nick says, hi guys, I'm about to start painting my first figures. The 135th for the Bulge Sig. He's doing a Russian tank crew. What brushes should he get? I think we ought to sell brushes, Matt.
I think we should have. Actually, I was looking at some today because the Abtil range do a Kalinsky range of brushes. So what I think I'll do is when I put this other order in for the rest of the stock, I will, because you can buy them in singles, I'll add some and I'll do a bit of a test and see if they're any good for us to stock them.
Yes.
Because obviously we do stock the other ones, but they're mainly for their oil paint range.
Yeah.
Because obviously oil paint's a bit harsh on brushes, being obviously you got to clean them with the enamel, product, so it does wreck brushes pretty quick. But we'll have a go with the Kalinsky range, I think, because we'll see if they're any good and
see if they're any good. Again, it's one of those things we're asked all the time for, people with brushes and they want us to stock brushes. But again, I always, as I say, I defer to my learned colleague here, because I am not one to ask for brushes, as everyone knows. So, but it's definitely something I think we should get. And we have got some brushes, but they tend to be the more cheaper ones. They're not the more specific ones, are they, for tasking and stuff like that? We've got the general use ones, but
yeah, if you're looking for, like you say, the proper Kalinsky sable brushes, then it's something we'll look into actually stocking, I think. So I'll get a couple in and we'll get the main ones in, because obviously the brush sizes really are a 0, a 1 and a 2, and you can paint pretty much anything as long as it's got a good point on it and it holds some paint.
Yes,
you'll be fine. I think, like I say, the main problem is people get the really small ones, and not so bad with oils, to be fair, because obviously oils do stay wet a lot longer and easier to manoeuvre. But if you paint it with acrylics, by the time literally you've dipped it in your palette, whatever you're painting, it's dry in the brush because it just don't stay damp long enough. So yes,
definitely
give it to go.
Okay, so hi Phil and Matt. Any chance of PM getting the Edard? Is that a Wild Sow Part 1? Is that
Sow. Wild sow.
Wild Sow?
I don't know. I pronounce it German, innit? I don't speak German, I'm afraid.
Sow!
So.
Something really abrupt.
Yeah, probably just Google Translate it and it'll sound completely different, probably. But anyway, yeah, it's something we can get in. No problem. It is out.
Is that like they don't have nipples, they have chest warts in it or something? Is that old joke? Anyway, go on.
I don't move along.
So yes.
But yes, it's something we can get in and stock. So, yeah.
We will look into that one.
Oh, look, carrier film.
Oh, right. Okay. So Ed says, re-decal carrier film. It's always horrible when the decal lays down beautifully, but when the light hits the decal just right, the carrier film is very pronounced. And there's the real eyesore for when it's finished on the model. I have heard people cutting the carrier film really close to the colour part of the decal, but I'm really reluctant to do so for fear of ripping the decal itself, either during cutting or when applying it to the model. Is there a secret to blending the carrier film into the painted surface? There's a couple of tricks you can do. Okay, so we spoke about this one the other day, didn't we? A lot of people were saying about decal film. If you go back in history, they always had quite a pronounced area of carrier film around the outside of the decal. So the roundel would have one that would go like probably 2 or 3 mil all the way around it, and all the lettering wood and all stuff like that. Nowadays they're a lot better, and to be honest, all of mine are out of reach because they're down there. But when I showed them on the other day, I mean, you were looking at them, and apart from the odd one where you've got like a tricky letter or something else in there, like a G for instance will be a classic example, you're always probably going to get carrier film in the middle, purely because of the way it is. But some of them, like the B, is very much cut around, you know, and sometimes you don't even get it in the middle either. So, you know, with that, if it's going to hold its shape, I don't think they bother too much. This is for more modern decals and the more better manufacturers, shall we say. Old school ones, you know, you're in your own thing. The trouble you have, and I have got some here, classic example, this here is just one entire decal sheet. You have to cut out each individual one, because this is just a printed one that's been printed, and down here for me VC10. So, you know, how would I go about doing it on here? Well, obviously I'm not going to try and get in the middle of all of this and cut all the way around it, because one, it'd be a ball ache and take forever, and secondly, you might end up with the decal moving, as you say, and then splitting and stuff. So the chances are I'd cut this one mediocre close to it, but again, this is basically a homemade decal. It's not like a silk screen printed one, so you do have to worry about bleed. It's laser, so again, it's not like an inkjet, but if this had been an inkjet one, you'd have to leave at least a mil all the way around it in case it leached out and bled out, but you should be okay. But what you need to do is really bury it into the surface of your model. Okay, so from this point of view on this one, it's not too bad, because to be honest, it's had quite a hard life. As you can see, we've just been doing a lot of the structural retooling on it, but the wings are on it now and all the rest of it. She's somewhat coming to life. So on here, we're going to be putting these on, and you are going to have big areas of carrier film all the way around. What I will do is give it a gloss coat right the way over the entire thing to aid burying it. Two things will happen at that stage. What will happen is, one, or hopefully, it will then seal the decal around the edges and stop anything getting underneath it, so any weathering or washing and stuff like that, which is what you do on your normal model as well. But also it will cause a layer over the top. Okay, but you're still going to have a height difference, because even if you kept spraying it, this will get taller and this will. It's not going to suddenly pull up here and level. It doesn't work like that, especially if you're airbrushing. But what I will do then, once that's all on there, I'll key it. So what I mean by keying is it will get a very, very fine, and shameless plug, but the weathering stick is how I do it, and go right over the top of the decal and the rest of it, and that will then mute the entire surface. Okay, so this will make it go almost flat to satin type effect with it, and what it will do then is it will get rid of that reflective shininess of the actual decal paper, as well as the glossy surface next to it, so it just makes an even thing right the way across the entire thing. And that's how I'll go about doing it. Also, of course, you can give it a flat coat right the way over, so you're going over the shiny stuff here as well as it on there as well, so consequently you're just getting an even thing by flat coating it, so you're just giving both textures, so the light isn't reflecting off of it, so you should be good to go with it. There is other things you can do. I've done it before. Go off and have a look at my Hein 24 video, where if you use enamel thinners, you can actually deteriorate, almost disintegrate, the actual carrier film and leave the printed part behind. But it's silkscreen printed and it has to be like that. It wouldn't work on this. Okay, but what you can do is go at it. It will soften the carrier film and it will roll off. It just rolls away. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect art, and again, if you're doing a weathered model, it doesn't matter if you get the odd little bit come off, but sometimes it will take away. But what you can do then is take all the carrier film off and just leave the printed part on there. It's very fragile, always spray over it. Don't know.
No, yeah, no, agree with you, really. There's not a lot I can add to that, to be honest.
Yeah.
You've covered it, yeah. So...
It's one of those things, to be honest with you, it's an art that needs to be learned. A lot of people will run off and tell you about, you know, modelling has these really difficult parts like airbrushing and weathering and all these things. But as I said, it's one of those key areas in modelling. It's a bit like seamless models and getting your alignments all right and all of these things. You know, again, you can be as much as, you know, anal or a rivet counter on this as you want to be, okay? But it's one of those ones which stands out quite a lot. So I've done limited amount of judging, and I remember once I was judging a particular model and it had horrendous silvering all the way over it, and you just can't get past that. It's one of those things. It didn't help it was a black jet as well, so it really stood out. But again, it was one of those where if you spend the time, prepare your surface as well. So obviously if you've got silvering and that's happening underneath, to go over a gloss surface or polish the area before you place the decal down. Setting solutions, you know, a softener to help it conform, a setter to actually weld it on, that always helps, and then overcoating it as well to seal it in. You know, they're all important steps to do, but decaling is its own art. You know, getting good at decaling, placing decals, getting to go down, you know, perfect. You know, it's not an easy thing. It's one of those things you learn and learn, and because decaling is one of those things where you do it on pretty much every model you do, but it's not something most people practice at. It's not like you have a buster and think, oh no, I'm going to practice decaling today. You know, let's face it, we all practice airbrushing and we practice perhaps rescribing or re-riveting on a buster, but how many people can honestly put their hand up and say, do you know what, I was practicing with some leftover decals the other day. No one does that, but it's one of those areas of modelling. It's no different from filling and sanding to decaling. It's very, you know, it's one of those areas where you learn it, you get it right, you get good at it, and you can work then with really bad decals, you know, some truly crap, horrible things, and get them to work. And it's quite satisfying when you can bury a decal, like Tamiya. I know you always say about it, innit? Tamiya decals are so thick and horrible. Yeah.
Well, even on this.
Yeah.
So this is a Tamiya kit, and the decals on this were rubbish. I've literally had to stick some of them down with extra thin.
Yeah.
Especially the ones around the turret. You see the yellow banding. Absolutely rubbish. Obviously, with a tank, you can sort of weather it a bit, but the band that goes, you know, goes around the turret is just they're not great. And this is a new kit.
Yeah, that's
this
right.
Is only a few year old, isn't it? 2 or 3 year old tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like I say the decals weren't brilliant on it, but you just deal with it, don't you? Like setting solutions, like I say, extra thin I've had on it and everything, and you get there in the end. You can blend them in. But like you say, that's a really, really good point about nobody ever practices putting decals on. And yeah, if you're an aircraft builder, it's one of the main parts of building an aircraft. Apart from the seams, like you say, and getting your wings straight and all the other bits and bobs, the decaling bit, especially if you're doing quite a nice scheme as well. And if you knacker up your decals,
absolutely,
it stands out like a sore thumb. Absolutely stands out like a sore thumb. Even if it's just coming down to stencil data, if you've got silvering on stencil data, then it doesn't show up. I mean, obviously some colours are worse than others for it, but yeah, it's you know what? It's like, I don't know why we've never mentioned this before. to be honest, about practicing deckling. Nobody really enjoys it.
I know, and it is. It's one of those things. Most people hate deckling with a vengeance because it's one of those. I quite enjoy it because, like, the B-17 is a classic example because at the moment, although she looks very nice in all her metal finery, she looks very boring and bland, doesn't it? There's not a lot really to it, you know. But as I say, as soon as the decals go on, it will make it. It changes it. And also, like I've always said, you get a lot of people and they'll look at your model and you're looking at it and you're going, do you know what, I'm not sure about, especially grey. Grey's a nightmare for it because you look at it sometimes, you think, that grey just doesn't look right to me. I'm sure it's wrong. And then you put the decals on and you go, no, actually it works because you've got that colour with the roundels or whatever it is on there, or tail markings, things like that, or just, as I say, walkways and stuff. And all of a sudden you think, no, actually it is all right. I just didn't look right when it was just sat there being all one colour. So you get the contrast colours in. It doesn't look too bad at all.
I think that counts with all aircraft of all eras as well. You know, when just the plain state of paint, whatever you're doing, you're always like, does that look right? I'm not sure. And then, like I say, you start your deckling, and then it just comes to life. It just changes the old kit completely, doesn't it? When you get the decals on it, or start deckling, you can see the end product coming, if you know what I mean.
And it obviously adds all the detail as well. You get something that's like this thing, especially, as be a case of it. It's quite plain because there's nothing really on it. But as I say, get the decals onto it, suddenly start to come alive. We get the coach line in it and all of that, and all of a sudden, hopefully, it'll start to pop and get the details coming out of it as well. And you'll be away. B-17 is a classic example of it because until you get all the details onto it, it just doesn't look right. Needs a bit of contrast to break it all up.
It does, yeah.
Okay. Matthew says, evening gents, with the group build action movies, can I enter more than one entry? Yes, of course you can. You enter as many times as you like, but you're still only getting one medal. Okay, just saying.
What? One medal.
One medal. One per household? No, it's not. It's one medal per member for the actual group builds. That's where, because we've had it before where I've had people say, I entered 5 times and only got one medal. Really? Doesn't work quite like that. Okay, Lauren says, hi, quick question. Are all pigments alike? So is there a big difference between Vallejo, AK, MIG and Flory regarding application, fixation, etc.? Some brands have pigment fixers, others just use thinners. To be honest, the micron count is the only difference. As for use and all the rest of it, you use them exactly the same. Some of them call them fixers, which we're pretty sure is just enamel thinners in a fixer bottle. So
X28 is a good fixer as well, actually, for pigments. But they're all the same, like you say. It's just refinement of.
It is. It's refinement. You know, classic example. If anybody's got the old school Flory Models green one, if you put your finger in that, that is very, very fine. I mean, that stuff is proper. You can't feel it. If you put it on your hand, it will literally, it's like makeup. You cannot feel it at all. It's almost invisible. It's got something like 8 times the micron count of talcum powder. So the trouble is, it used to cost us an absolute fortune per kilo, because obviously we buy it per kilo. So if we order a 5 kilo sack of it, it costs an absolute fortune. Hence whilst it got dropped, because it wasn't viable for us to do. But the other ones we do, as I say, they're all of a type. But one thing we learned from the green one was that if it's too fine, it doesn't really bite to the surface. It needs a little bit of grit in it to be able to hold on to the surface. Otherwise you can almost just keep wiping it away. And that's it. So that was one thing that was learned from that one. So as I say, but basically everybody's has different ones. I've got other people's over there. I've got some MIG ones down there. They're really gritty. But again, it's quite nice because they have different shades and textures and hues in one, where mine tend to be all just the same and various things. You can mix them up. But again, it just depends on really what you're after with it. Some of them do some things slightly better. Like I like mine because it does the rust, so I can put it under paint and then chip through it and get rust streaking. Works really nice for that. Tried it with other people's and it's too gritty, doesn't work. So it's finding a balance. But as for application, overcoating, stuff like that, it's exactly the same for everybody's.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes, and the trick is not to seal it, isn't it? Pigments, because you just kill them.
You'll kill the pigment off. Don't go over it with a gloss coat. Somebody did that a few weeks ago, and it was like, I've glossed over them. I seem to have lost my pigments. Really?
Yes.
Do they look like it's been raining? So don't
that's
overcoat
it as well. But, I mean, I know people who's done it on armour and put a matte coat on it to that, and what they've done is then it just goes all the same.
Yeah.
It just absolutely kills the pigment, and you just get the same sort of hue
Yeah.
You know, instead of any variation. So yeah, the trick is with pigments is definitely don't overcoat. Put them on last, and then
Yeah.
don't pick your model up. Basically, leave it.
Okay, Keith says, Phil, got some new money now. Has he printed it? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
He's printed his own off. So I'm going to buy the rest of your washes, but which colour would you use on a 0 with a black nose and the grey green? Again, it's very difficult because, again, down to personal choice. I can only say what I'll do, and with mine, it'll get a dark dirt wash. That's what it'll get everywhere, and that'll probably be about it. So just being honest, I think you've already got that colour because most people have. So honestly, I would just keep with the dark dirt wash. It really wouldn't need anything else because you'll see it on the black because it will look brown on the black, and on the body, the white creaminess of the body, it will look that slight off black to brown look. So it's got that sort of grimy look to it and stuff. So again, it's one of those ones where keeping it simple, don't complicate the situation. Don't do this thing about using 10 different colours of wash to do one aircraft, because the reality is it's a grime colour that is going right the way over as it would in real life. So you wouldn't see suddenly grey colours on the black, for instance, and then the rest of the aircraft in like a grey colour and various things like that. So, you know, if you're going to go with a colour scheme right the way over it, go for that. If you want to keep it a little bit more mild, then go grime, because grime's a lighter version of the dark dirt. So yes, keep it simple, people. That's the thing.
Yes, don't overcomplicate it.
Absolutely.
Oh look, final countdown movie.
Yes, that's a good one. Hey Phil and Matt, what is the best 148 scale 0 M6 M2? Ooh, okay. Kit to get to build for one that is used in the final countdown movie. Really want recessed panel lines with good detail. Thanks for the advice. Also, Phil, what colour and brand of paint should I use for my Top Gun F-14 Tomcat scheme? I am not sure what colour they were at the time. That'll just be the standard light gold, grey and white. Thanks again. Have a safe trip to Doncaster to see Matt. Okay, zeros. Up on the zeros?
God. Do you know what? The Japanese aircraft are odd to actually get. I mean, he's in the US, so he should be alright. Azagawa's probably one of the nicer ones, to be honest. Because the Tamiya's got a newer tool one, but I'm not sure on which one that is. Because would that? I take it that's a Navy one. Is it an A6M2, not an Army one?
I can't remember which
really not up on zeros in that sense.
No, I'm not at all.
No, so if you can get a Hasegawa one, that's definitely recessed because that's what he's on about.
Yeah.
The problem with the Tamiya one is one of them's really early and it's raised, and they've retooled it, but I can't remember if it's a Navy one or an Army one. Somebody ask in chat, somebody will know in chat, so if they could type it up and put us out of misery, that'd be nice. And as for the F-14, well, that's your department.
Okay, so the 14 is standard colour scheme for that one. So obviously it's light gold grey with the white. I know it's US Navy white, but everyone just spray it in white. It's the same thing for that one. So that's no problem at all with that. As for who you use, you know, obviously I would say Hitaka. I've used Hitakas, really like it. If you're on, to be honest, something that's very close to it, and again, depends as if you're going to be weathering it or not, but Tamiya X20, which I haven't got any of, weirdly, is actually not that far off a gold grey. If you actually just add a smidging of buff to it, that makes a very nice light gold grey, purely because before gold grey was readily available in the noughties and the 90s, that's what I used to do all the time, and no one noticed, so that's sort of fun with that. But again, it depends if you're doing lacquer. Everybody does do it. So if you're thinking about like Vallejo, if you want to go down that route, they do light gold grey. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but as I say, I've got it up there in Hitaka form. I'm just trying to think of the ones I've done with it. So
Guns.
if you have guns, do a very nice one as well. Yes, because I'm actually just looking at it now. My Intruder, I'm pretty sure we used Hitaka. We used Vallejo with it. Although I'm thinking that actually could be Tamiya. Also, I've got a Phantom in there, the F4B. If you go into my video builds, because I can't remember what I've used it on, to be honest, I do so many, and then obviously you can bring it up and have the paint call out into it, and you'll see what they are. But guns, obviously, they do a very nice one. That's pretty spot on. The Vallejo one's pretty spot on as well, to be honest. Their early one isn't. They changed it down the line somewhere. But yes.
So AK do it now, I think, with
do
their
one
colour.
now. I haven't tried their one. Yeah.
Well, actually, do you know what? Because that might be an idea too. You'll have to pick a set.
Of?
AK real colour.
Right.
Here.
Okay, we'll get a set in and we'll give it a whirl.
So you're going to have to think of sort of something you're going to build in the future.
In the future with it. Okie dokie. Yeah, we'll do that. Yes.
And then you can do an on test and see what you think to that as well. Colour wise and stuff, and perhaps do a comparison with something else you've got from Attacker or you've got, you know what I mean? You know where I'm going with this.
I do indeed. So they're just talking down in here and they're saying about apparently the A6M2 means the 6 is the Navy fighter Mitsubishi variant 2. So there you go. That's how that works. So the M6M2 means Navy fighter Mitsubishi version 2.
Okay, right. And who does one then?
He hasn't said that. He just said that bit.
All right. No, we need the kit as well. Who actually does a 48th one. So, like I say, I think, to be honest, the Hasegawa one's a good kit. It's when they were good.
Yeah.
That's horrible to say, doesn't it? But you know what I mean.
Hasegawa in the 90s were absolutely my go-to company. You know, as I say, that's what was the height of my commission work in the 90s and 2000s. And the thing is that if I get clients come up to me and say, I want this, first place I would always look would be Hasegawa. Because they usually did it, and they did it very well at then. I know they've been superseded now, things are long in the tooth now, but actually it's really nice. It's a real shame that Hasegawa went from being that company were releasing stuff to just basically being a reboxing with new decals and charging a lot more money for it company. You know, I think they literally took their eye off the ball, not for very long, and it's just gone to pot. So
we were looking at a kit with John the other night, and it's an old kit, and it's recessed and everything, and I can't think what kit we were looking at. It's just escaped me, but we're looking at it, it's like from 1979 or something like that, and it's all recessed. It's something you wouldn't expect from that era, shall we say. A nice surprise. I'll have to I'll ping it for tomorrow night and see if you can remember what we were talking about. I think it's in its stash, to be honest, but it escapes me which one it is.
Yes.
So, right, go on, what are they on about in chat?
I don't know. They're all about different versions. KI-43s and KI-61s are apparently the army ones. So that's what they're all about in there. Also, I've missed quite a lot down on here. Thanks for the tip on wearing gloves. Helps a lot with your painted model. It does. Especially if you're doing metal, wear gloves. It's the heat from your hands, I think, softens the paint a little bit. Ken says he used AK Extremes last week for the first time and only waited 24 hours for the base coat to dry. Tried to mask the aluminium and it lifted off. You just explained why. Yeah, give it time. Takes time to dry.
You can't rush it. You really can't rush it.
Yeah, and a lot of guys are saying about it. Yeah, you need to let it dry. Fair enough. Cool.
Yeah. Who's upset Molly?
I don't know. Must be a neighbour. There's a neighbour out and about in there. Doesn't like it. Right, okay. Danny says, hi Phil and Matt, got a question. I'm looking for a while now for a 1/35 scale 105 Sherman. Since the Dragon kits are not easy to come by, what kit would you advise? I know Tamiya has one, but as far as I know, it's the older mould.
They're the only ones that I know of, I think, for a 105. I can't think of another one off the top of my head. Who does one?
Can't you do like Oddball does and just put a bigger pipe on it?
Asuka.
Asuka?
I don't know if because they do every Sherman. They might do one. I'd try them. They might be worth a shout, because that's the only other company at the minute I can think of that might do a 105. because everybody does like an Easy 8 and a Firefly, a proper, you know, common ones, shall we say. Yes. Yeah, Google that one. Oh, look, Happy Canada Day. Is it Canada Day today?
It is Happy Canada Day. Is that another country we lost? We upset?
Did we ever have? I don't know with that one. Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day. That's it.
Lovely.
And the 4th of July, trust me, America, we'll remember it this year. You guys have no idea why, but trust me, we will remember it this year, won't we, everyone in Britain? So we can all social distance stood at the pub for the first time since March.
Yeah, like that's going to happen. That's not going to end badly, is it?
Yeah, of course not. Everyone will be fine.
Yeah.
Mark says, hi Phil, quick question about your B17. If you had primed the control panels with some areas with flat black instead of gloss black, would you have ended up with a different metallic sheen on that areas, or would it be too subtle? Yes, it would. Obviously, if you put a flat coat, it will look totally different. If you look at the video on this, you'll see it, because I've actually done it on a couple of panels on there as well, where I, to be honest, happy little accident, I got the masking wrong when I was doing the engine, so I went over the flat coat so you can see the difference. But the thing is, obviously the reason I did it that way is because the control surfaces on this, they're actually canvas, they're fabric, so they wouldn't be metal. So I didn't want to use a metallizer paint colour or a metallizer paint on it, because it isn't, it's actually fabric. So that's why we did it on that way on that one. But yeah, you could do it that way, and that works the same with all metallizer type paints. If you use flat, and obviously it will just look like, well, probably not very nice, but if you use satin, for instance, it will change the tone quite significantly, because the light reflecting off of it, instead of having that nice metal look, it will look just like textured. But again, the thing is with metals, we're talking metals. It's not a metallic, and I explained this one the other week when I got the, I can't remember what I was working on there, something I was working on, but I think it was the Hunter and the Sabre, and I showed a side by side, and we were talking about that's a metal finish, that's a silver painted finish, so you could actually see the difference and the reasons for the reasons we do. So we were saying really for metal finishes you want to use a gloss black finish to get that metallizer look. If you just want silver, you don't need gloss black or a gloss finish underneath it at all. You'll be absolutely fine with anything you like.
Yep, absolutely.
Phil and Matt, tried out my Procon Boy 0.3 airbrush for the first time last week instead of my H&S Infinity CR Plus 0.2, which I've been using since I started airbrushing about a year ago. I can say Phil is right. It's like chalk and cheese. Love the Procon Boy. I find it actually airbrush as good finish, even with acrylics, which is really problematic with the H&S airbrush. Again, it's one of those things, you know, if you find an airbrush that suddenly works for you, it's literally a light bulb moment. The Procons I just really like. I think as well, it's not even anything to do with money, because if that airbrush was 300 quid, I'd probably still have one, because it is that good. It just really, really works for me. And to be honest with you, when I was doing the B17, I've been using my Iwata. That's why it's here. So I've been using my Iwata, I've got an Eclipse here, the HPCS, for doing metals. So I've got one that's got normal colours, this has just got the metals in. So we were using it for this one, and again, it really is a very, very nice airbrush. It's just one of those ones where, you know, it just works. It's one of those airbrushes where you just, as soon as you pull the trigger, it's nice and smooth, it's got good travel, and you feel in control, and that's the nice thing to it. And that's all you want, is an airbrush you feel in control with. As soon as you're like, why is it doing it? It doesn't feel right, and you're just not happy with it. It's very hard to relax with your airbrushing. So find an airbrush that works for you and then stick with it.
Absolutely. Can't say fairer than that.
Yes. Matt, he's forgot, Knights Templar says he's forgot his password for PM help.
Oh God.
There's a recovery system on there, isn't there?
There is, but it's easier to just have a new account, isn't it? We've been through this before, because there is a recovery bit. We can't do anything our end, can we?
We can't get to it, yeah, honestly.
We can't do it because it's all data protection or whatever. You have to do it. Yeah. And there is a password recovery system. The problem is it's flawed.
Oh right, okay.
We've been through this like loads of times with people, and it's like, well, I've gone through all this and it won't do it. Try it. If not, the easiest thing we would figure is just to set up a new account. just completely yourself into account. But we can't. From my end, I can't delete accounts. I can't do any of that because it's all data protection. I can't get involved. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is a little bit of a problem with that one.
Yeah, I know it's not much of a help, but like I say, it's not a lot I can do at our end. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is that thing. Also, I've had a couple of people just whilst this question's come up saying to me about they want to change from monthly payments with the subscription to flooring models to yearly. Same type of thing. Easiest thing is let it fail and cancel. Okay, you won't get kicked out because it will just hold you there, and then it will ask you to resubscribe when the next time you log in, and just then transfer it and just set it up again as being yearly. Because otherwise what happens is, and we've had this happen about people, they say, can you do it? So I cancel them and then they resubscribe, but it doesn't pick up where you left off. And then what happens is at the end of every month they have to pay again because it kicks them out, and I have to go in and manually change them. So it's easier to actually cancel your subscription any point of the month, and then when it's up for renewal it will then let you in because you're good for that entire month. And then when it won't let you in, just resubscribe and just select annually and just do it that way, and it works flawlessly. But if I get involved, it all goes to pot, because I've got about a couple of members, and now it's that time of the month. I'll get a message probably tomorrow, can't get in, it says I'm not subscribed, and I am, and I have to go in and manually let them in then for another 30 days until, and then when it asks again, I don't know why, it's just a tiny little chink in the system, works absolutely flawlessly apart from that. And it's when I get involved. If it's left on its own, it's fine, but if I get involved, it screws everything up. So it's easier for you to do that one.
It is. So go on, just before we finish, we've got our apps up already. Pre-orders. Oh, hold on. Wrong. Go on, answer that one.
Oh, sorry, any ideas for the start set to be back in? To be honest with you, they're due this week. I get a weekly slot, and that's how it works. And because it's fallen in between the month, I'm not sure when they say about this week if they're talking about the first week of the month or the last week of the month. So I think it's going to be next week. I haven't had any info to say they're on their way. The trouble is we're waiting for the printers to get involved now, because obviously the sand and sticks are all printed with the logos. So consequently they're manufactured, then they have to go off to a printer, and then they do all the printing for the logos, then it comes back to me for packaging. So we are literally in that limbo where they are somewhere, someone's got them, but they are supposed to be to me this week, but it probably means next week. So first week of the month. Sorry, go on. Pre-orders.
Yeah, just to say, the DR1 has ended today because I've actually put the order in. So hopefully they'll be here around soon rather than later. Yes. And also tonight, when this is finished, Andy is going to shut the pre-order for the 32nd F15 because I want to put the order in tomorrow, which is that one, the Tamiya one there. I want to put the order in tomorrow with Obico to get them on, because obviously there's a 3-month lead time, so we can't have that running forever and ever. Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be shut as well tonight. Cool.
So there you go. If you want to get your pre-orders in, guys, remember you don't have to pay now. We don't take any money up front or anything else like that. You only have to pay when they land. But if you can pay promptly when they do land, that would be absolutely fantastic. And no, we don't know when they'll land, because obviously this type of thing comes direct from Japan to us. So it's whenever it gets here. So it normally takes quite a while, because obviously it comes on a slow boat literally from Japan.
Well, yeah, I think, like I said, the thing is about a 3-month lead time for special orders. So just run off that. So from tomorrow, like I say, when they're in, you'll know about it. We'll let you know, and you'll get an invoice. So yeah, they will come in. Like I say, the main fucking DR1, I think, will be out very soon. I've got a feeling we might see that by the end of this month.
Yes, everything I've told, it's literally here. So yeah, it's going to be some point this month. It will be here. So yes, very good. Cool. Very good. So there we go.
More questions, or is that it?
I think that's it. I think we're all sorted.
Are we all done?
We're all done. We're all done. We're all done. We'll leave it there, because obviously we're going to be with you tomorrow night, 7:30. Full team will be on, as always. So if you'd like to come along and join us. Sorry we're a little bit late by a few hours, but as I said, we just had to get stock in. And so that's why we just shifted the 2 till 3 show to the 7:30 to 8:30 show instead.
Yeah. we'll be back to normal next week.
Back to normal.
For our normal time slot, because everything now's been delivered to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, supposedly, you wait. Somebody's bound to still deliver it to the wrong place. We know that company. We know who you are, because sometimes it ends up with me, and then nothing comes here anymore. But I still occasionally end up with a box full of kits. So, yes, very good. Anyway, we'll be up with you tomorrow at 7:30. So if you'd like to come along and join us then, it'd be absolutely lovely. We'll be live as always, YouTube and on there, and we'll do a load more of your questions as well. As you know, it's light and informal, and we'll have a bit of a laugh as we make our way through the show as well. So that's it from us. Happy modelling. Take care. Till next week, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.